The heat on the avenue felt like it was coming from all directions, bouncing off the glass windows, radiating from the concrete, clinging to the skin of anyone unlucky enough to be outside at midday. Cars crawled through traffic, horns occasionally blaring, and the air trembled in waves above the asphalt. In the middle of the lane, a green tricycle, half bicycle, half passenger cart, wove carefully between vehicles. The driver's shirt clung to his back with sweat. His hands were fixed firmly on the handlebars, knuckles pale from gripping too hard. A woman in a blue dress sat in the back seat, clutching her bag with both hands, eyes wide every time a car came too close. The driver's name was Rico Alonso. To anyone watching, he looked like any other tired tricycle driver. Dark hair matted with sweat, sleeves rolled up, an old button-down shirt yellowed at the collar. His legs worked the pedals steadily, muscles burning. He kept glancing at the cheap watch on his wrist. His passenger had said she was late for an appointment. Late meant no tip. No tip meant another day stretching the last of his money. He had chosen this life. That part was true. And also the part no one would believe if he told them why. He turned into the next street, the wheels of the tricycle clattering over a shallow pothole. Up ahead, parked at an angle with its lights flashing lazily, was a police car. An officer stood in the middle of the road, waving some drivers forward and pulling others aside. His posture said more than any word. "I'm in charge, you're in my space." Rico's stomach tightened. The officer raised his hand, palm out. "You," he shouted. "Tricycle, pull over." Rico eased to the side of the road, bringing the trike to a stop near the curb. The woman in the back looked nervous, eyes darting between the officer and the phone she was gripping. The cop strode over, boots heavy on the dusty pavement. He was thick-set, his uniform perfectly pressed despite the heat, hat sitting low on his brow. His badge caught the light, a small gold sun. He didn't bother to introduce himself. "You know what you did wrong?" he snapped. Rico took a breath, forcing himself to stay calm. "No, sir," he answered. "I was in my lane. The light was green." "You crossed the solid line back there. Illegal maneuver, reckless driving, endangering your passenger." Rico blinked. The solid line he was talking about had long since faded, barely visible, and he had crossed where every other driver did. "With respect, sir," he said, "there was no oncoming car. I turned where everybody turns. I was just following traffic." The officer's lip curled. So you're one of those. Mahilig magpaliwanag. You think because you can pedal fast, you can argue with me?" Rico felt his passenger shift behind him. He could sense her tension, like static in the air. "I'm not arguing," he said carefully. "I just don't understand the violation. If I made a mistake, I'm willing to learn. But I hope, he mimicked in a high voice. "You hope what, huh? You hope I just let you go? You hope you can talk your way out because you're what, special?" From the sidewalk, a few people were starting to watch. A man in a dark t-shirt slowed his pace, pulling out his phone. A woman with a ponytail did the same, pretending to check messages while pointing the camera at the scene. "Please, sir," the passenger in the back said quietly. "I really just need to get to my appointment. He was driving safely." The officer turned his glare on her. "Ma'am, for your safety, I'm dealing with this driver. If something happened to you, everyone would blame us for not enforcing the law." He drew a ticket pad from his pocket, flipping it open with a snap. "License," he demanded. Rico dug into his wallet, hands shaking slightly. His fingers brushed against another card, one he never showed on the street, the one that carried his real last name in full and a quiet kind of power. He pushed it aside, pulling out the laminated license instead. The officer snatched it, glancing at the name printed on it. "Rico Alonso, tricycle driver, figures." He began scribbling on the ticket, shaking his head. "This is what happens when people like you think they can break rules. You pedal around all day, no education, no respect." The words stung, not because they were accurate, but because they were lazy. Rico had a degree tucked in a frame somewhere, gathering dust. He had sat in city hall meetings, taken notes during policy briefings, learned the language of budgets and ordinances, but he had left all of that behind when he made a decision that had baffled his family. He would live anonymously for a while, work jobs that paid by the hour, sit where ordinary people sat, listen to stories his official reports would never capture. He wanted to know his city beyond briefing papers and filtered complaints. Because Rico wasn't just the tricycle driver. He was the only son of Mayor Tomas Alonso, and no one on this street knew it. "Sir," Rico said again, his tone still controlled, "I'm not refusing the ticket. I believe it's unfair. I followed the flow of traffic. Maybe we can talk about—" The officer slapped the half-written ticket pad against his chest. "Of course you think it's unfair," he snarled. "You drivers never admit you're wrong. You think just because you sweat in the sun, you're some kind of hero, but you're just noise." Rico's hand tightened on the handlebar. Heat pulsed at the back of his neck. He could feel anger rising in his chest like a wave, threatening to crash over his carefully maintained calm. If he snapped, he knew how the story would go. Tricycle driver attacks cop. Ungrateful poor man, no respect for authority. They'd forget the context. They always did. "I'm just asking you to treat me with respect, sir," he said, voice low. "I'm still a human being." Something in those words, perhaps the reminder, perhaps the tone, pushed the officer over a line he'd been balancing on all morning. In one furious motion, he stepped closer and swung his open hand. The slap echoed off the brick walls. Rico's head snapped to the side. Pain exploded across his cheek, bright and hot. His eyes squeezed shut instinctively, the world narrowing to that single point of impact. He stayed seated, hands clamped around the handlebars like anchors. Gasps erupted behind them. The passenger in the back covered her mouth, eyes huge. The man in the dark t-shirt whispered, "Holy!" and his phone wobbled as he kept recording. Another bystander lifted her phone, angling for a better view. The officer's chest heaved. "You don't ask me anything," he shouted, face inches from Rico's. "You do what I say. You want respect? Earn it. Don't roll up here acting like you know better than the uniform." Rico's jaw clenched so tightly it hurt. He could feel the sting spreading across his cheek, could hear his own heartbeat roaring in his ears. Every instinct inside him screamed to stand up, to shove back, to demand the justice he knew, by law, he was owed. He didn't. Slowly, he lifted his head. He looked not at the officer, but at the passenger, at the people on the sidewalk, at the phones pointed like silent witnesses. He realized something clearly. This moment wasn't just about him. "Sir," he said, trying to keep his words steady, "you just hit me while I was sitting down, unarmed, in front of witnesses. Would you like to repeat what you just said into one of their cameras?" The officer blinked, caught off guard by the measured tone. "Are you threatening me?" he barked. "No," Rico replied. "I'm reminding you that this street isn't as quiet as you think." One of the bystanders, the woman with the ponytail, found her voice. "I got it all," she called out, emboldened by Rico's calm. "From the shouting to the slap." The officer's eyes darted toward her. "Put the phone away," he growled. "This is police business." "Exactly. That's why people need to see it." Rico exhaled slowly. The path in front of him forked. He could drive away, swallow the humiliation, let anger harden into another silent scar. Or he could break the anonymity he'd carefully protected and expose more than one abuse at once. He thought of his father, sitting at his office desk, poring over reports of misconduct, insisting, "We have to know what the people are really facing, Iho, no sugarcoating." He thought of the campaign promises about accountability, fairness, respect from top to bottom. Maybe this was exactly the test he'd come out here for. "Officer," Rico said quietly, "you asked me if I think I'm special. I don't. That's why I've been out here driving this tricycle for weeks. But there's something you should know before you write that ticket." The cop snorted. "What, you gonna tell me your uncle's cousin works at City Hall? I don't care." Rico reached slowly into his pocket, moving carefully so no one could claim he was reaching for anything dangerous. He pulled out a different card this time, a plain white one with embossed letters. He held it between two fingers, offering it forward. "Read the name." The officer snatched it, ready to toss it aside, until he saw the seal printed at the top, the city's official emblem. Underneath, in clear black print,
Honorable Tomas Alonso, Mayor, City of San Pablo. Below that, handwritten in blue ink, for inquiries, contact my office. Rico. The officer's brows knitted. What is this? He demanded. Some fake calling card? Look at the number at the back. On the reverse side, a series of digits and a short note. Personal line, for urgent concerns. Do not share publicly. The number was the same every officer had posted in the precinct as the emergency mayoral contact, used rarely, reserved for crises, inspections, high-profile events. A muscle in the cop's jaw twitched. Where did you get this? He asked.
Rico met his gaze fully now, letting the mask fall. There was no arrogance in his eyes, only a steady, tired clarity. He gave it to me, he said. I live in his house. I grew up listening to his speeches. I spent years arguing with him about whether the system could really change. He paused. He calls me his son. The officer's grip on the card loosened. You're saying... I'm saying, Rico continued quietly, that you just slapped Mayor Alonso's son in the middle of the street while demanding respect for your uniform. The world seemed to slow. A car rolled by, the driver's mouth hanging open as he recognized the name. The passenger in the back of the tricycle lowered her hand from her mouth, eyes darting between them, realization dawning. Wait, you're him! The one they said went missing from public events. Rico gave a small, humorless smile. I didn't go missing, he said. I went looking. The officer's face had gone pale, sweat beaded at his temples, no longer from the heat alone. You should have said something. If I'd known, you'd have treated me differently. That's exactly the problem. He looked at the bystanders again, at their phones still raised. How many others have you spoken to like that? Slapped, threatened, insulted, just because they didn't have a title to protect them. The officer opened his mouth, but no words came. Sirens wailed faintly in the distance, growing louder. Another patrol car turned into the street, drawn by the report of a public disturbance and the spread of a video that was already racing through group chats faster than the official radio. Within minutes, a supervising officer arrived, stepping out of the car with a clipped gait, eyes taking in the scene. The tricycle, the driver with a red mark blooming on his cheek, the angry ring of bystanders, the officer frozen with a card in his hand. What is going on here? The supervisor demanded. Rico didn't speak first. The woman with the ponytail did. Sir, your officer slapped this driver for questioning a ticket, she said, voice steady now. We all saw it. We all recorded it. And he just found out the driver is the mayor's son. The supervisor blinked, stunned. His gaze snapped to Rico. Is that true? Rico nodded. Rico Tomas Alonso. My ID is inside my bag if you need it, and so are recordings of the interaction, from the stop to the slap. The supervisor swallowed, then turned to his subordinate. Officer Mendoza, he said slowly, hand me your badge and weapon. Sir, now, the supervisor snapped. IA will be notified, and you will start writing an incident report that matches exactly what's on those videos, or you will be digging yourself a hole you can't climb out of. As Mendoza reluctantly unpinned his badge, Rico felt the eyes of the crowd on him. Some were admiring, some curious, some wary. A few clearly wondered whether he would demand the harshest punishment possible, wielding his father's power like a hammer. He took a breath. I'm not here to destroy careers, he said quietly, but I won't protect abuse either. My father promised transparency. I want this to go through the proper process, with the same rules that should apply to everyone, whether they drive a tricycle or sit in City Hall. He turned back to the officer who slapped him. The anger in him had cooled into something heavier. Officer Mendoza, he said, I came out here to understand what our people experience, not just through reports, but firsthand. Today, you taught me more than you know. You showed me exactly why so many are afraid to speak up.
Mendoza couldn't meet his eyes. "The truth is," Rico continued, "if I weren't the mayor's son, this would just be another story whispered between drivers at the terminal. Another video that might not reach the right ears. That's the real injustice." Later that week, the video of the slap, along with clips of Rico revealing his identity and speaking calmly about respect, spread through the city and beyond. Talk shows dissected it, comment sections burned. Some accused him of setting up the officer. Others praised him for risking his own safety to expose what so many had been complaining about. In a press conference, Mayor Alonso stood beside his son, the bruise on Rico's cheek now a fading yellow reminder. "I did not ask my son to go undercover, but I understand why he did. You can't fix what you refuse to see. Today, we all saw something." He announced strengthened oversight, more body cameras, clearer complaint procedures, and perhaps most importantly, open forums between public transport drivers and the police. Weeks later, Rico returned to the Tricycle terminal, not as a driver this time, but as someone standing in front of a crowd of men in faded shirts and worn slippers. "I won't pretend we solved everything with one video, but it opened a door. What happens next depends on all of us, on what we demand from our leaders and on how our leaders respond." A driver at the back raised his hand. "Sir, does this mean we can't be slapped anymore?" Soft laughter rippled through the group, edged with pain. Rico smiled, but his eyes were serious. He said, "It means that if anyone in uniform abuses you, you're not shouting into the dark anymore. And it means that anyone who thinks your job makes you less human should think twice. Because sometimes it takes someone with hidden privilege stepping into the heat and dust of everyday life to prove what the law has always said, but too often forgets to live. Respect is not a favor granted to a chosen few. It is a right owed to every person on the street, whether they're wearing a badge, pedaling a tricycle, or simply trying to get home."